Have you ever felt like you're just drifting through life, doing the same routine every single day? You don't have a plan, you don't know your destination, and you're just on autopilot, and you're going along for the ride. If you have, I want you to know that you're not alone, and there is a way out. I learned about this Japanese concept about a year ago. That's like a treasure map that helped me find my why and helped me find my purpose. Hey friends, Vincent here, and after living my life on autopilot for around 25 years, I recently discovered what my purpose was. And my purpose is that I want to be able to help people achieve their financial freedom by making personal finance more accessible. And today, I want to be able to share the treasure map that I used to find my purpose with you. Before we start, I do want to acknowledge the fact that it's a privileged idea of finding your purpose. If you were raised under poverty, under starvation, then finding your purpose is going to be the last thing on your mind. The point I want to make is that not everyone is able to go on this existential quest because people normally have to fill their hierarchy of needs first, such as having water, shelter, food, and safety. First, before we even start looking for our purpose, we have to first understand what truly purpose is. And we often come across this existential question during key transitory periods in our lives, whether it's after we graduate school and we start working, whether we're in the middle of our careers deciding if we want to change it or keep going forward, or even if we're just about to retire. These pivotal moments could lead you to start doubting yourself and start to wonder, who am I? What am I doing? And most importantly, where am I going? Purpose is a simple but essential ingredient in life that everyone craves, but not everyone can taste, despite how much it can change your lives. And this craving goes all the way back as far as Aristotle when he first developed his theory of teleology. And this is the idea that everything in life has a purpose, from the most minute details to the most significant ones. And finding your purpose is more important than ever in today's world, given there's so many different career paths and opportunities that you can take. It's important that we're able to discover our purpose and pick the right ones that lets us wake up every day with excitement instead of dread. One of the biggest misconceptions of purpose that I also fell for is that purpose is not what others can see of you. It's not something you can ask your friends and family and ask, what direction do you think I'm heading in? Because purpose is driven internally. I make this distinction because for pretty much my entire life, I've been putting a front up, like a facade, acting like I knew with 100% certainty what I wanted to do and what I wanted to be in life, that I charted a clear path forward and that I was determined to reach it. But honestly, looking back, I guess I just wanted others to think that I had it all figured out, and that I hoped that the mantra of fake it till you make it would eventually work out, and if I continued down this path, that eventually everything would connect and everything would start making sense. But rarely does this ever work out that way. Everyone else seemed so confident with what they wanted in life, like they were 100% sure that they wanted to be doctors and lawyers and teachers, and I was just there thinking like, I had no idea what I wanted to do. But in retrospect, everyone was also probably faking it too, and they all felt the same exact way that I felt. That we were all hoping for the same exact thing, that the paths we take, go to college, get a good job, that all these paths we were hoping would eventually be the right ones. But is that really what we want in life? To spend decades of our life just going in a certain direction where we hope that it's the right direction? I want you to imagine for me for just a minute. Think of your life like a journey, like you're walking down a dirt road, and every day you get closer to your final destination. On our way there, our path can branch out into different roads with different twists and turns, and if you approach life without a purpose, you're just gonna be walking randomly, hoping that you took the right turn, hoping that you're going the right way. But if you have a purpose, this can help guide your decisions and influence your behaviors, shape your goals, and just offer more clarity on the turns that you're taking. And it's not to say that you won't struggle and sacrifice along the way, but you know with each turn that you take, there's a greater meaning to it, a bigger picture that you're trying to reach. Like when you take an entry-level job, your motivation won't be to just do it for the money for the next few years. Instead, your mindset shifts and you're gonna be doing it for the experience, for the hardship and the rewards that are only available to the people who actively chose this path. Research also shows that knowing your purpose can also offer other countless benefits, such as living longer, having better physical and mental health outcomes, having better mood, and better financial success. A study was conducted with around 500 adults, and they were given a chance to either take right now an immediately and less valuable reward, or wait a little bit later and get a much more valuable reward in a month. And it was discovered that individuals with a greater sense of purpose tended to choose the larger reward in the future, which the scientists believe illuminates the long game that purposeful individuals might be playing. Because these individuals aren't thinking about the here and now, but about saving and generating more for later. Before I hand you the treasure map, I truly appreciate if you could turn the like button into a beautiful blue, and if you want to reach financial freedom, then consider subscribing to this channel for more, because it truly helps spread the message out and will help more people discover what their purpose is too. The map I use is a Japanese concept that goes all the way back to the Heian period from 794 to 1185, and this concept is called Ikigai. Ikigai is a combination of Japanese words, iki, which translates to life, and gai, which is used to describe value or worth. So Ikigai is all about finding joy in life through purpose. In other words, your Ikigai is what gets you up every single morning and keeps you going. I learned about Ikigai when it was some of the darkest days of my work life, when I truly felt like I was living in a dystopian novel where every single day felt exactly the same, to the point that I was on autopilot for months on end. And I wasn't making any lasting memories because nothing significant really stood out day to day. It was just a big blur, a big mess of memories, mostly of me in the office. And it started to get really hard with all this stress and pressure just adding on each other and compounding, that I started to read books in search of meaning and happiness. And that's when I discovered Ikigai. Psychiatrist Kamiya Mieko explains that as a word, Ikigai is similar to happiness, but has a subtle difference. Ikigai is what allows you to look forward to the future even if you're miserable right now. People who follow this concept believes that the sum of the small joys in everyday life results in a more fulfilling life as a whole, similar to the different paths that we take day to day that ultimately fulfill a greater purpose. Everyone has an Ikigai, and it's only a matter of being able to find it. And the best way to explain how you can find your Ikigai is with a Venn diagram, but let's acknowledge that this is a Western interpretation and adaptation of the concept, and this was the best way that I could most easily visualize it for you guys. And life obviously can't be mapped out like this, but it is a good guideline to start with. So imagine Ikigai as a Venn diagram with multiple circles that you can fill out. The first circle is called do what you love, and this circle includes what we do or experience that brings us the most joy in life. It makes us feel the most alive and the most fulfilled, whether it's about reading dramatic novels, running marathons, or singing country music. What's important is that we allow ourselves to think deeply about what we love without the concern for anything else. The second circle is called do what you're good at, and this circle includes anything that you're talented in, such as the skills you learned, the hobbies you pursued, whether that's playing the violin, telling stories, or painting. I want you to think of your talents regardless if you love doing it or not. The third circle is called do what the world needs, and world here can refer to all of humanity as a whole or a small community and everything in between. And this is going to differ from person to person because what the world might need is based on your impressions or needs expressed by other people. This could be clean water, heating, or education, and I want you to think of this regardless of what you're talented in or what you love to do. The fourth circle is do what you can get rewarded for, and this dimension, the circle, involves what someone else is willing to pay you for. And you might be passionate about writing poetry or drawing, but this doesn't necessarily mean that you can get paid for it. It will depend on whether your passions are in demand. Think of answers to these circles all independently of each other, and eventually you will reach a central overlapping point, and this is where you find your Ikigai. And finding this really important point is going to require time, deep self-reflection, and effort, but one that we can all benefit from. I personally had a really hard time answering these questions and ultimately finding my Ikigai, because I think for me, a lot of what I did was prioritized based on what I thought my parents' expectations were of me. You might be familiar with the idea of tiger parents, where many Asian parents are tough and strict on their children for their academic achievement, and the highest ideal that they wanted their children to be was either doctors or lawyers. But fortunately for me, my parents weren't that extreme. They were really fantastic parents, but I knew inside that they had very, very high expectations for me. And I wasn't interested in law or medicine, so the way that I internalized their expectations and my way of fulfilling that was to get a really high paying job, regardless of how miserable the job made me. But after working a few years in the finance industry, I realized that it just wasn't for me. Eventually, I decided to prioritize what I personally wanted instead of what I thought my parents expected of me, because I realized that if my parents genuinely loved me, then they would accept my decision on what would make me happy and not necessarily what their expectations were of me. And luckily, my parents did. After working through this Japanese concept, I discovered that I really enjoyed helping people. I enjoyed understanding really complex concepts and being able to help explain it to others and seeing them get that clarity moment. I realized that I'm good in personal finance because that's my background. I majored in economics and I worked in finance for a few years. And the world, I believe, is in desperate need for a good financial education as the wealth gap widens, as the wave of fake scammy gurus grows. So I decided that I wanted to be able to help others reach financial freedom by making personal finance accessible. So that's my Ikigai, and that's where I am now with this YouTube channel. I'd also love to hear what you think your Ikigai is, so leave a comment down below. All I ask of you now is to spend some time building this map, and after you do, start your new journey. Take some new turns, walk down different roads, and look at the bigger picture, your purpose. The difference between where we are and where we want to go is what we do. A treasury map is useless if we don't follow the path. And some of us, even without knowing it, are already on our way to living out our Ikigai. Others have a little bit more work to do, but everyone can benefit by identifying where you fall on this map. Then you can start thinking about where would you like to be tomorrow. If you want to hear more about why I quit my job in finance, this video is going to teach you the 3 lessons that I learned that completely changed my life.